Merry Christmas from your festive global jukebox. Global Jukebox. Live from the south coast of England, this is Play 2 UK. Tommy Boyd. Call 01243 55 60 60. Email studio@playradiouk.com. Skype play.radio.uk. Now, live from the south coast of England, the Tommy Boyd Show, only on Play 2 UK.
Well, good evening. It's just gone 8 o'clock in the United Kingdom, so good evening to you. Good day around the world if you're listening outside the United Kingdom, thanks to the internet, and hello if you're podcasting and it's the year 2012 and I'm probably dead and so on. But that's the way it works. It's podcast, it's live around the world or in the UK. Now, what was I going to say? Oh, yes. First off, it's a very good evening to not Fiona this evening, but Nikki Kegshevelin.
Hello there.
Who is a former star of commercial independent radio in one of the most amazing cities on earth, Brighton. Nikki, you co-presented the breakfast show on Brighton for how many years?
20 years.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So now you're just about getting used to being able to lie in the morning until about 5:30.
I finished in June, so for the last 6 months it's been a case of just catching up on sleep.
Yeah.
Which has been amazing.
Well, we'll catch up on your life and things and get to know you a little bit better, because most people listening won't know you, but we'll do that as the show sort of develops and unfolds. But just a quick word to you listening this evening. If you're listening live, we have Catherine Catt at around about 10 o'clock this evening, who is going to be reviewing what was they called? There's a sleaze band.
Sleaze band, yeah.
Swedish had you heard of sleaze bands before? Catherine emailed in before the show to say that tonight she wants to talk about, amongst other things, a sleaze band. Have you heard of that?
I haven't heard of a sleaze band, and I haven't heard of this particular sleaze band, but we listened to a tiny bit of their music and I liked it.
Okay, alright. So she'll be talking about a sleaze band, and she's also talking about an exhibition that's on in a gallery which is it's called Taking Liberties, and it's about the fact that it's the 60th anniversary of the Bill of Human Rights going through the United Nations. So that's Catherine Catt. And of course also she'll be talking about her day job, which is sex. Catherine is a hooker. This embarrasses a number of men listening, and I know this because they've been kind enough and open enough to email me and say things along the lines of, "Dear Tommy, I am slowly coming to terms with the fact that this lady who I have now got to know a little bit and kind of like and will be a good friend, does this thing, hooking, that I always had a bit of a problem thinking about, for two reasons, I think. One, because all men and possibly all women are intrigued by this most unusual of jobs."
I can understand being intrigued. I'm surprised you say embarrassed. Why embarrassed?
Embarrassed because I think a lot of us men are a bit kinder than we like to let on, and we fear that all women in prostitution are in it for the wrong reasons, because they don't want to do it, because the alternative is poverty, because the alternative is there's going to be nothing in their syringe at the end of the day, and they need whatever they have to put into their syringe. And of course we do hear some terrible stories about some people who are trafficked into prostitution, and Catherine is an activist representing this country's, I think it might be 60,000 people who work in the sex industry, and this is not, as she says, just prostitution, but there are also people who work in pornography, just, to mention one associated industry. And the fact of the matter is, as Catherine herself is living proof of, not everybody in prostitution is a victim.
No, absolutely not. By the sounds of it, it's a job that I was going to say she enjoys, not necessarily enjoys. It's a job, isn't it?
She enjoys it. You haven't spoken to her.
No, I haven't. I'm looking forward to meeting her.
I know.
I've got so many things I want to ask her.
Really? It's such a highlight.
Yeah.
So that's Catherine. And yourself listening, if you get a moment and you fancy an email into Catherine, or any of today's topics, just stuff that's going on, really. We'll get to that in just a second. Our email address, of course, is studio@playradiouk.com. And got a couple of emails already coming in, which is good, which we'll get to very shortly. But what are we talking about today? I don't know. What do you bother to follow the news, Nikki?
Yes, to
Do
a
you?
certain extent, yeah.
To a certain extent.
Yes.
What is that then?
Well, if I watch the headlines at, say, 6 o'clock, I'll see some stories at 6 and I'll wait and see certain stories that interest me, and then I'll get to a point in the news where I don't want to watch anymore.
Yes.
Excuse me.
When they're drifting towards the regional opt-out.
Yes. I think that's probably about true. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so what's going on in the world at the moment that makes you want to hear the full story, or at least the full 5 minutes?
Well, obviously, I mean, the credit crunch, because it does affect us all, and it just seems to be getting worse and worse, doesn't it? There's all sorts of stuff
What's
going.
the very latest there?
Well, I only caught part of the news today because I've been busy today, but this guy that's completely duped so many people and so many of the banks, and people are even more debt than they thought they were.
Yes.
So, that's even more messy, isn't it?
It certainly is. I was watching a little bit of the debate in Parliament on it. And Alistair Darling, I have to say, was looking very chirpy. We all said in the living room watching him that he seemed to be rather enjoying himself, the knockabout. It was day 5, I think, of the response to the Queen's address.
Mm-hmm.
And the measures that Darling and Brown have put forward to try and keep the economy going through this difficult period. And he was quite enjoying himself. But old Vince Cable, who we quite like, he's the leader. He should be the leader of the Lib Dems. But the David Cameron stuntman lookalike Nick Clegg.
You're not a fan, I get the feeling.
Well, I just feel as though, Nick. The reason they got rid of Ming Campbell,
Oh my goodness,
was because he was pushing it. And Vince Cable...
He should never have been elected in the first place.
Why not?
Because he was far too old.
Well, how does that work, that one? Surely, would you have a 4-year-old in charge of the country?
No, but he was just too old, I
Why?
thought. I just thought he was past it. You want someone who's a little bit dynamic, and he was just not.
Yeah, but look how Gordon has batted them all into touch by simply saying, "This is no time for a novice."
Yeah, well, yes, but
And they are novices.
Yes, but
They don't know
he was
anything.
a lot older, wasn't he?
Who?
Ming.
Ming?
Yes.
Ming was good. But Ming was one of those people who was stymied by his first ever remark in the House of Commons. He just wasn't paying attention. He was standing for the leadership of the Lib Dems, and the Lib Dems didn't have a leader because poor old Charlie, had the drink problem.
Yes.
He packed it in. He was down the bar. No. And Ming got up, and there's the Liberal Dems with no leader, okay? And he put a question to the Minister of State for Education, Secretary of State for Education, about how terrible it was that there were so many schools without permanent heads.
Dull.
He was screwed.
Oh.
And the laughter went on even longer than the laughter when Gordon accidentally said, "I have saved the world."
I know.
Yeah.
That was
21
quality.
seconds. They time these things. Yeah. So Vince Cable was on his feet, and he was banging on, making a pretty clear case of the fact that we're in shit street, up shit creek without a paddle.
Mm-hmm.
We should stop trying to score points off each other, he said. The 3 main parties and the smaller parties in the House of Commons have to recognise this as being a kind of economic war footing, and we should all get together and try and come up with solutions rather than try and score political points. Do you think there's any chance of that happening?
Slim.
They say there are 2 chances of that, slim and none.
Yeah.
And Slim just left town.
Exactly.
Bad phrase. Peter from Birmingham has emailed. Hello, Tommy. Can I just say, nice to hear a new voice on Play Radio. And Nikki sounds like a very pleasant lady, and I will be very interested in her views on the topics discussed tonight. So I wish you well, Nikki, and I hope you have a good show.
Oh, that's very kind. Thank you.
Now, Mikey Holt has Skyped. Thank you for this, Mikey. If you're listening on your PC at the moment live, desktop or laptop, take a moment, and it takes 90 seconds, literally, to download Skype. And then you can not only take part in live chats, texting, tapping away on your keyboard, but you can also call in on Skype if your laptop has a built-in microphone. If it doesn't, then you'll need one of those little $9.99 headsets that you can get. But Mike says, hello. He Skypes. I'd like to talk about the credit crunch, as this morning on the radio I heard that the French are going to the Good of UK to do their Christmas shopping. Also, the pound has fallen again.
Oh yes, the French are coming over here because the euro against the pound. It's good for them, isn't it?
What? Yes. That it's
so the French come over here, and it's good. So.
Not the radio to TV, sorry, says Mike. He's now listening and able to respond. This is the great thing about Skype. I can have a conversation with a listener live using Skype. He says now, 7 seconds later, more pro Skype stuff. Well, I know what you're saying by that, Mike. There are lots of voice on the internet protocols. That's to say, devices that enable you to use your laptop like it's a phone, or your PC like it's a phone. But Skype won. BT tried it, Virgin tried it. I know, I looked into all of these. I had to, because I was working for the BBC at the time on their internet setup. And they said, we're the BBC, we can't just promote one service.
You're getting good with technology, because I used to know you years ago and you used to be rubbish, but now you're really up on it, aren't you?
Excuse me, if you don't mind me saying so.
What?
That's bollocks, what you just said. Because, we'll come back to that. But
we've started an argument already.
You have. You have, because I used to, not only host, but also drive, as they say, an extremely complicated radio programme.
Where was that?
At Southern Sound.
No, you didn't.
In Brighton. And I used to have to run looped audio and sound effects. I had to field calls live and dump them because we knew that, for example, we had an Australian guy called Jason. We knew that he was going to say the F word every third word.
Yes.
I had to dump all that, get that right, and I had to look after a bunch of amateurs, no offence.
Hello.
And what on earth made you think that I was technically inept?
Nothing, Tommy. No, you weren't brilliant then, were you?
Well, yes.
Were you?
Well,
I always remember having to get other people to help you push buttons.
Well, there are occasions when it was a little bit trickier.
I've offended him now.
Let's take a call. We'll take a Skype call, and it's Steve we have on Skype. Good evening, Steve.
Good evening.
Hi, Steve.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're sounding, if I may say so, because Steve is somebody who blesses us with his presence as often as he can, and we love every occasion. But you're just sounding a little bit tinny tonight on your new fancy microphone, mate.
I'm wondering if maybe it's the. I'm wondering if it is actually hooked up the microphone.
Yeah,
I'm wondering if you're.
I hope it's not, because I'm getting some shit from a woman here saying that I'm technically inept, and if all you had to do was plug in your $180 microphone and you screwed up on that, mate, then she can have the conversation with you.
Well, I did manage to plug it in. I'm just not sure if I was able to. Oh, yes. I was correct.
Okay,
Is that better?
Totally better. Sounds like you're sitting next to us now.
Okay, yeah. I didn't have it quite plugged in.
Okay. Well, say hello to Nikki anyway.
Hello, Nikki.
Hi, Steve.
I heard your background.
How are you doing today?
Good, good. It's great weather out there. It's around 55 Fahrenheit.
Where are you today?
I was going to say, where are you?
I'm back in Atlanta.
Wow. So what time is it with you then?
It's 3:15 p.m.
So how come you've got time to be sitting talking on Play Radio?
Good question.
Well, I am down in my studio. You know, I'm sort of working, doing a bit of procrastination.
Cool.
Are you aware, Nikki, that's who Steve is?
Yeah, I'm looking at him on the screen.
One of the things we're going to bring back very soon on these talk shows, everybody and Steve and Nikki, is the live streamed TV cameras, so that everybody can see everybody, because it just makes it that much more interesting to be able to see over Steve's shoulder and see some very nice, what looks like cherry wood Venetian blinds behind you there, fella.
Yeah, they're actually not that great, because we just went for the cheapies for down here in the basement studio. You know, spent the real money upstairs.
So who do you live with then when you say we?
My wife.
Okay. And where's your wife
It
now?
will be she is at work. Oh, Tommy, you'll be interested in this. Her firm is going to be sponsoring Patrick Harrington.
Is that so? What's her firm called again, since the name is going to be across...
FTI.
Say again?
FTI.
F? What does that stand for?
FTI.
Yeah.
Consulting. They're legal consulting.
What does it stand for?
Forensic Technologies Incorporated.
Wow. And what does she do for them? Because that straight away sounds like a very interesting company, an interesting job, possibly.
Well, she's qualified as an attorney, but she doesn't actually practice law. What she does is she designs the evidentiary demonstratives, which is like the
Sorry, Steve, we have no idea.
I'm glad you said that, because I was thinking, I don't know what he's talking about. Explain that in sort of more basic terms for people like me.
So, like, when she worked for like the big tobacco companies on their trial, she would create a model, say, of the lungs and how the lung tissue would regenerate itself if you quit smoking.
Wow, very Erin Brockovich.
Yeah. Although she's usually on the opposite side.
Right.
Because that's where the money is.
And what you were saying about this Patrick Harrington? What's that about?
Patrick Harrington.
Oh, Harrington.
He's going to be wearing their logo on his hat.
How much, Steve?
I don't know if that was in the email exactly how much, but I can't imagine it's cheap.
No, sorry, Bob. This is the guy who's really sort of... He's doing what Tiger used to do when Tiger had two knees. He's won 2 majors.
And he's Irish, right?
Oh, Podrick.
Yeah.
Right, I'm with you now.
Is it Podrick?
Well, you know...
Various ways of pronouncing it, I think.
When he came on the scene, I was working for an Irish firm, and I noticed his name down there on the leaderboard. He was only halfway, he was just a kid. But I saw that his name was down there as Padraig Harrington. So I said to these Irish guys, I said, is that just your fancy way, a Gaelic spelling of Patrick? And they said, no. Well, sort of, yes. No, we don't know. But if it says Patrick on his birth certificate, he's Patrick. And if it says Podrick on his birth certificate, he's Podrick. So the two aren't interchangeable. He's a Padraig Harrington, and he's pretty bloody good at golf. And does this mean then that you're going to be you and your other half are going to getting a sniff of tickets for, say, the Masters or the US Open, anything like that?
I don't know. I mean, there probably will be opportunities, but I assume she would have to take clients there.
Do you like the golf?
No, so it doesn't really matter.
Oh. And what's your sport then?
Well, I play tennis and I cycle, but I don't like watching either of those. I'll occasionally watch American football and English football. And
if you watch an English football team, who would you tend to watch? Don't say Man United.
No, I sort of like the statistical aspect of it, so I just like sort of watching where people are falling within the tables. So I like the way it's been going this year because it's really interesting.
It is, because there's no sort of one team out there who you think, oh, goodness, they're going to win it again. At the moment, it's sort of anybody's game, isn't it?
Right, and for someone like me who doesn't have a favorite team, who has no loyalty, it seems much more interesting this year.
Absolutely right. Yeah, it's good stuff. I mean, with Chelsea, you know, yesterday they played West Ham, who you'd think they're going to absolutely spank, and it was 1-1. It was a cracking game.
Yeah, actually, they showed that game over here, and I was actually surprised that Chelsea didn't lose.
I know. Yeah, West Ham definitely had their chances, didn't they?
Yeah. An American and a woman talking football. Where do you hear that?
This is weird, isn't it? We'll start on cricket in a minute.
I can come in here.
All right.
Because for reasons that I will tell you if you want, and it is a 4-hour show, I have with me my FA referee's whistle, which was given to me by the FA referee who conducted my examination, my test. And we got to know each other quite well, and
When you say your test, are you a qualified football ref?
I am a qualified football referee.
I'm not
is there
sure.
Something about my demeanour, and I am wearing all black tonight. So let me just give you a quick blast on this. Let me give you a. Let's get this game underway.
Okay.
Okay, let's get the game underway. What's this? Okay, Steve or Nikki?
Okay.
Okay. What's that?
Stop fighting.
Yes, very good. Steve, where were you?
Impressive. I was fighting.
He was in the brawl.
No, I mean, the whistle does speak, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's great.
This one is fairly obvious.
End the game.
Yeah, end the game. Yeah.
Great, I love it.
I know, it's a really good silver whistle. But we had an argument, him and me. He said, if a forward passes the ball to a colleague who is offside, but before you have a chance to blow your whistle, a defender gets a touch on the ball, but the ball continues to the colleague who is offside, do you now blow for offside? And I said yes, because it's not about when you get the whistle in your mouth, it's about the decision.
Yeah.
And this guy, who had refereed an FA Cup semi-final, he said no. He said if you can't whistle soon enough, the game must go.
The game's got to carry on.
Yeah. And I wanted to pass the test, so I didn't want to tell him he was talking shite. So I did that thing of kind of going, well, that's interesting. I did not know that.
And when was the last time you refereed a game, out of interest?
About 1972, and I got it was so painful. No, I'm lying. I used to ref my sons. Had a team, and so age about 16 they were, so I refed some of that, and it was painful because of the animosity of the dads and the mums.
They're the worst, the parents on the sideline.
Awful.
That's quite
scary. There have been shootings here in America.
Yeah.
Seriously?
There's a South Park sketch.
Over football games.
Yeah, there's a South Park sketch, isn't there, where the two dads rip off their shirts and go for each other on the little bleacher things behind the ball game.
Yeah, this one guy and his father both went out and attacked a professional umpire because of the call he made at a Chicago Cubs game, I think.
What was the call? Do you know?
It was either like safe or out.
Okay.
And they were not happy with the call. They both just leaped over the stands, ran it, and just started decking the guy.
Yeah. You see, I don't know, I'm going to put my cards on the table here. When there's a fight on a football pitch between two players, the commentators, whether they're BBC or commercial, they all say that these are disgraceful scenes, okay? And that these professionals really should know better. But the simple truth of the matter is, it's what we want to see.
Well, I was going to say, we all love it, don't we?
Yes.
Secretly, we're all going, yes, go on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
I used to watch hockey, and they had at least 2 or 3 fights in each game.
I think that's why people watched ice hockey, wasn't it? Well, for the fights.
Well, yeah, I've heard that they don't have that many fights anymore.
Shame. Didn't Letterman say, of course, I went to a fight and a hockey game broke out?
I like that man.
Isn't Letterman wonderful?
Yeah, there was a line on Taxi, I think, about, there was too much skating in between the fights.
Yes. Yeah. I put on a wrestling tournament once, and the most popular moment was when one of my guys cut himself with a razor, and there was blood pumping from this self-inflicted head wound. It was secret. He pretended that his head had been smashed against one of the ring posts, and he hid half a razor blade in his wristband, whipped it out and cut himself, and it was only a small nick, but the blood was everywhere, and that was the moment the fans went absolutely crazy, because the ref skidded in the blood, and there was the whole, well, it was real blood.
Yeah.
And people.
When were you into wrestling?
Let's have a look. Eddie Guerrero came over, so it was during the period when Vince didn't use him, in between him being a WWF guy and being Vince's world champion and then killing himself. So I guess that was about 19 99.
Oh, that's relatively... I met a couple of old wrestlers recently.
Who did you meet?
Abdullah the Butcher and one of the Executioner.
Oh my goodness.
I go back to the Inland Revenue guy. And Sergeant Slaughter. Mind you, I believe he's still around.
Yeah, Sergeant Slaughter's probably still... Well, he's probably still alive.
How old is The Undertaker and Big Show? Because they were going at it last Saturday. I saw 20 minutes of it. They got to be pushing 60, the pair of those old boys.
I don't know, but those names, they were still wrestling back when I was a kid.
You see, that's about the last time.
I just turned 40.
That was about the last time I watched wrestling, was when I was a kid, and those are the days of giant haystacks and Big Daddy. That's about the last time I watched wrestling. And wrestling then, on a Saturday lunchtime, used to be huge on the telly, didn't it? It used to be mega.
Yep.
It's funny how it comes in cycles, isn't it, these sports?
Yeah, and it was weird when I went to camp. All the English guys were into the American wrestling.
Yep. But it's the best. It's one of the most...
And they were all like intelligent guys, I mean, like where we were from, wrestling was for, like the inbred types and the same people who watch NASCAR, but it seemed like all the intelligent English types loved the wrestling. Yeah.
The show that I put on, I think the crowd was a couple of thousand. It was nothing like as big as the WWF, WWE shows. But I went out amongst the audience from time to time during the evening just to gauge who was coming. I charged £20, whatever that is in dollars nowadays. God only knows what that is in dollars nowadays. But I was really... I was
probably like 3.
Yeah, about 3, yeah. I was quite impressed, actually. You're right, Steve, with the sort of the calibre of the young lads who came along to watch this thing. I remember a couple of the English guys were wrestling, and it was embarrassing compared to what Eddie Guerrero could do. And then their bout finished, and we were up the back eating Wimpies and things. And the two lads said to me, "We've got to go now because we're about to get some proper wrestling." And I said to them, "What are your views on the authenticity of it?" And they said, "Oh, we know all about that." They said, "But we just like the stylisation of combat and the fact that these guys are pretty impressive athletes, actors, and stuntmen." And that's about the size of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, like when I've seen like Shakespeare plays, even at like Stratford upon Avon, always the fight sequences were very popular and choreographed with all these great actors, who do a fight scene that isn't nearly as realistic as a wrestling scenario, which of course they're both fake, but the acrobatics.
Yeah. Years ago, I was a second at a Dale Martin wrestling event, when I worked at a thing we have in this country called a holiday camp, Steve. And it was kind of interesting because, of course, the bout was heavily choreographed. These were two elderly wrestlers, frankly, who travelled around the country going to a different holiday camp every day of the week together. And they drove to the each venue, together in the same battered A40 car. Probably slept in it as well, for all I know, because they weren't making much money. But here was the thing. I saw this fight over and over and over again. And it was so identical. Every single move, every single bit of theatre. I was the second, and the first time I did it, the guy I was flapping the towel in front of his face at the end of the first round, he went, "Make sure there's about an inch of water in the bottom of that bucket at the end of the next round, all right?" And I went, "Okay." He went, "Not more than that." He said, "But not less than that." I said, "Oh, okay." And it was because after an altercation, he was going to pick the bucket up and put it over the other guy's head, and enough water was due to come out of the bucket to make it look like a bucket of water, but not so much that it would, damage the ring or their footholds or anything like that. And the funny thing was, two members of the public stayed and watched these guys wrestle twice, and I went and got them and said, similar sort of result, wasn't it?
Had they spotted it?
Well, they gave a really good answer. The guy said, "It just goes to show how well matched they are."
Oh, interesting.
Now, that
Without a hint of irony?
No, none whatsoever. And now that is a serious and almost medical case of willing suspension of disbelief, isn't it? Steve, always great go on.
I had a similar situation with the Harlem Globetrotters. Have you ever heard of them?
Oh, I love them. Fantastic.
Comedy
I saw them twice in a row and realized that their basketball games were all fixed.
Yeah.
and they do the same exact tricks.
Yep.
Or, back when I was a kid, they did at least
Yeah.
in 2 shows in a row.
Are they still going, even?
They are.
Are they?
I think the only thing that changes down the years with the Harlem Globetrotters is the identity of Meadowlark Lemons.
Oh, oh, good memory.
But there's a different Meadowlark Lemon every 2 or 3 years. Hey, Steve, it's fantastic talking to you. If you're around
Sure.
later on this evening, that would be great. Otherwise, thanks for
Sayonara.
the inside info about forensic technologies, and we'll talk to you soon. Sure.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. It's, I see you're new to this kind of so-called broadcasting, aren't you, Nikki?
Totally.
So
First time.
There you are, able to talk to somebody who's in Atlanta.
I love it.
And apart from a very minor delay that you do get on Skype, which is better than the delay
I
you used
didn't
to
even
get.
notice a delay.
Just a slight one. Very slight one.
Maybe I'm just a bit slower.
Yeah, maybe he's slowing down. Anyway, a little bit late. Let's find out what's going on.
Play 2 UK. Headlines.
In Iraq, a rally has been held in support of the journalist who threw his shoes at George W. Bush. World banks, including several British firms, are hit by a fraud allegedly perpetrated by a US banker, which has sucked $30 billion from the banking system. And authorities in Zimbabwe report a surge there in cholera deaths.
Play 2 UK. Weather.
Sharp, damp, but not wet in the south. Colder, with some showers, sometimes persistent in the north and in Scotland. Temperature overnight dropping to 0. And tomorrow, patchy cloud, palpable cloud, patchy cloud, and cold.
You're up to date on Play 2 UK. PlayRadioUK.com, part of the Something Corporation.
Play 2 UK's talk shows are expanding. The Sunday Roast from 8 p.m, radio you won't hear anywhere else. Mondays from 8, myself, Tommy Boyd, with at 10, Catherine Catt live from her dungeon. The Mistress on art, theatre, opera and the boudoir. Tuesdays, Steve Paul and Ali tell it like it is. Wednesday and Thursday, Mike Mendoza, gadgets, current affairs and life. And there's more to come. Check it out. Talk on Play 2 UK.
Want to see Wonderbra star Katie Green, Lee Francis, the man behind Avid Marion and Keith Lemon, Sunday League Madness, Jimmy Carr, 2009's Best Games Reviewed, and brand new Jennifer Ellison picks. For the fittest women, the biggest celebs, and the loudest laughs, get loaded. New issue on sale now.
PlayRadioUK.com is dedicated to providing you with a fully interactive website and music service. Choose from 13 stations playing all kinds of music 24 hours a day. Find answers to your technical questions. Podcast your favourite shows. Download content to your mobile phone. Interact with other users in our forum. Buy music from your favourite artists and find out who's on when and what we're up to. PlayRadioUK.com. Internet radio your way. The Tommy Boyd Show, only on Play 2 UK.
Good evening in the UK, good day around the world. Hello if you are podcasting this at some later date. Today is the 15th of December 2008 and it's just about 25 to 9 UK time. This evening talking about whatever's going on in the world. If you want to talk about the man who threw the shoes at George W. Bush, I'll tell you what I think. What do you think about that, Nikki?
It made me laugh.
I haven't seen it.
I saw it.
How close did the shoes
The
come?
first one nearly hit him, and the second one was a little bit off centre.
So the guy took both shoes off.
Yeah, you just see, first of all, one shoe go just near George Bush,
Yeah.
and then you think that's it, and then another one comes flying, but that goes slightly wider of the mark.
How fast are they thrown? Are they tossed or hurled?
Hurled quite hard,
Hurled, so
yes.
would it have
Oh, it
drawn
wouldn't
blood?
have
if it-
hurt.
What sort of shoes were they?
I only saw it brief. I would have said they looked more sort of like loafers.
Loafers?
Loafers. What's wrong with loafers?
I'm really interested in what kind of shoes the guy had on, because if he'd known he was going to do it, wouldn't he have worn something a bit more heavy duty than his loafers?
Yeah, but maybe it was just a spur of the moment.
It was a
Maybe-
spur of the moment, because if it was a spur of the moment, he'd have pulled one off and thrown it. What he obviously had done was pull off both. He
Yes, but
planned
no,
it.
but what I mean is, he might have just gone there, not thinking, right, today I'm going to throw my shoes at George Bush, so I must get my heaviest shoes or boots and wear them. Maybe he just was there and thought, God, this man, and then just took his shoes off.
Okay.
I don't know the whole story, to be honest. I
No.
just caught it on the news briefly.
Yeah, I've got hello from Chris Harmon, who I'm exchanging details with, and I'm going to take a call on Skype from the proclaimed king of the world.
Yes, that's me. Well, not quite. I'm not there yet, but I've been following the mystic art of the Kabbalah, so I've got to ask for it, haven't I? I've got to visualize it. So, and then it becomes reality. So it's my ultimate aim, as should be for everybody. So I'm just on my way. I've given myself 6 years.
Fine. So much to pick the bones from there. What are we going to talk about? Kabbalah?
Well, no, I don't know much about it, but I heard.
Isn't Kabbalah that Indian wrestling game?
No, that's Kabaddi.
Oh, right, yeah.
What's
Kabbalah then?
Slightly racist noises if it came from a white man.
Yeah.
No, Kabbalah is the thing that it's the fashionable mystic. You know, like in the 60s, the Beatles had all that when they went out to India and everybody, even Mark Bolan was a little bit sort of
Kabbalesque,
wasn't he? Yes. But now's the one where you ask for things, cosmic ordering, isn't it? All of that sort of thing. So, like, what you have to do, is make it a reality. Okay, I don't really know it because I haven't gone into it because there's a lot of reading involved. I just want the result, yeah?
So you haven't done any ordering yet?
No, I'm doing it. See, there's no point in, like, spending a year reading about it. You might as well just do it, see if it works. If it doesn't, then, you know.
So come on, tell us what you've ordered.
Well, I want to be king of the world.
Yeah, what else is on your shopping list?
That's it. I mean,
that's the only thing you're going for now?
That encompasses everything, doesn't it? Once you're king of the world, everything else is in it.
And how long ago did you put this order in?
This morning.
Oh, you see. I think it takes a little bit longer.
Did anybody else hear a beeper going off about a minute ago?
No, a text message.
Was it? I thought it was my bullshit meter going off.
Well, the text messages.
Crap coming out from your end.
Hold on, this might make interesting. This might be groundbreaking. Hold on.
Don't tell me to hold on again. I'll come round there and I'll slap you with Nikki.
I might enjoy that, though.
We'll come back to that. By the way, it's Catherine Catt live from her dungeon this evening. King of the world, just hold it for a second. Basil Bottler Skypes to say, my Basil's banker. Basil is the person who flags up good bets with the horses.
Now you've got me interested.
He says, my Basil's banker tip was badly let down by a waterlogged track at Lingfield on Saturday, but I have another for you. This Saturday, get on Punchestown in the Long Walk Hurdle. That's Basil. I think that's a Nicky Henderson horse, Punchestown. Thank you for that, Basil. Say again?
Punchestown's a track.
Yes, Punchestown is a track. But I think it's also a horse.
Oh, is it? I've got one for you.
Go on then.
Right, it's safe here because by the time anyone who's vaguely interested in horse racing will have listened to this, it will have been podcasted. Right, look out for this horse, Tommy. It's called I'll Ring You Back. Right, and when it's a hurdler, and when it's pissing down with rain, and they're about to call it off, this horse romps home. If it's in damp, forget it.
Right.
It has to have a bog.
Bottomless, as they say.
Oh,
I've made a note of that.
Extra gear. It does. It finds an extra gear.
Okay. You're full of it this evening, aren't you, King of the World?
Well, you know, you've got to have ambition. If you haven't got a target...
Well, what's the difference between an ambition and a facile daydream?
No. You see, now there is a big difference between that. A facile daydream is like me surrounded on a tropical island with the contestants of Miss World, which was on yesterday afternoon.
I saw a little bit of that. Did you not think Uruguay, and what happened there?
I was dipping in and out of it for some reason, and I was heavily into Miss Venezuela.
I thought Miss Venezuela was nice. Some of those middle, north, South Americans are exotic, and yet somehow sort of Hollywood and westernized, aren't they? Beautiful looking girls. I agree with you.
Miss Mexico.
Yes. I'm just going to get the webcam onto Nikki so that you can see what we're talking about here, okay? You carry on talking to her.
Now, you see, this is interesting because yesterday I was going through my telly channels looking for something to watch, and I saw Miss World come up, and I thought, I'm not going to watch that. Whereas you two obviously saw it and clicked on it and watched it, which is interesting. How different is it nowadays? Is it sort of...
Well, they're making them do tasks.
Like what?
An assault course or some fitness thing.
They do.
And some gigs. They made them do gigs, didn't they? And one sang, and the rest of them did bad dancing.
King of the World.
Yes.
Look, stay with us. Stay there. But I've just had this idea. You tell me if it's a good idea. I'm supposed to have done the news about 2 minutes ago, but I was late doing the 20 past, so I only did it about 8 minutes ago. Nothing else has happened, so you don't need it, okay? I'll tell you if the president gets shot.
Yeah, that's fine. I can always go on the BBC website.
Shall we play Nikki? I don't know if you've heard it, King of the World, but there's this outtake from an American beauty contest called Miss Teen America, and it's Miss Carolina. Have you heard this, Nikki?
No, I haven't.
This is excellent.
Okay, shall we play that one?
Go ahead.
All right. Okay, so this is a genuine 17-year-old girl giving an answer to a reasonably intelligent question. You know that they always ask them...
Oh, yes. I was going to say, do they still do that?
In advance, I'll tell you this. I think she was told by her advisors, because they do get coached, try and say something intelligent, no matter how banal the question. The problem she has is that the question isn't banal. So here we go.
Recent polls have shown a fifth of Americans can't locate the U.S. on a world map. Why do you think this is?
I personally believe that U.S. Americans are unable to do so because some people out there in our nation don't have maps, and I believe that our education, like such as in South Africa and the Iraq, everywhere like such as, and I believe that they should, our education over here in the U.S. should help the U.S. or should help South Africa and should help the Iraq and the Asian countries, so we will be able to build up our future for ours.
Thank you very much, South Carolina.
And the bit that I like best is the guy at the end does this really sincere...
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you dumbass.
Isn't that beautiful?
I like that.
I just got a gold bit of clip there. That's what you can hear in his voice.
Yeah.
At halfway through, she picks up a little bit because it's like she started off okay and then she went down right to the bottom and then her mind suddenly came alive and she thought, oh no, I'm going to get back on track here quickly, and her voice sort of goes up, like interested again, and then she starts rabbiting on about South Africa.
And Iraq.
It's fascinating.
It's like she's been
to journey with her as her mind goes on an enormous walk through the woods.
It's like someone said to her, if you get a question about Americans not knowing something, you have to fill in the blanks, but this is what you say. So she's gone straight to the fact that because of the education system, and she's fill in the blanks with, because she's not listened to the question, and now she starts babbling on about Iraq. Yeah. I'm even saying it. Iraq.
She obviously sort of had a geography thing in her head, so she just started naming countries, didn't she?
I think she'd been primed so that if there was any kind of foreign question asked, she should mention Iraq because that will show that she's keeping up with what's going on in the world, and she should mention South Africa because that shows some kind of, again, sort of ethical awareness. So she was folding it into her answer, even though she hadn't got a clue. I'll tell you what, King of the World, stay there. I'm going to do the news, whether anybody likes it or not, because it's the law. But first, just to take the edge off it, I'm going to play this from Long John Silver.
I'd be most grateful for the return of the blade. Now clear up them there shambles, or I'll feed you piecemeal to the rats in the cellar. Belay your swivel tongue, Purity. It will only be fitting to watch over ye as any gentleman would. Ha-ha!
Right. In fact, we don't need the news now, but we do have one or two important commercial messages, and unlike conventional broadcasting, I'm at complete liberty to say that I absolutely insist that you buy all the products that are about to be mentioned during this commercial break.
PlayRadioUK.com, part of the Something Corporation. Heard a song you love? Then help us by buying your favourite chart CD through Amazon. Just click on the banner at PlayRadioUK.com.
Right then, what was the web address?
passiononline.co.uk.
Oh, you would look really sexy in that. Okay, that's in the shopping cart.
Imagine the fun we could have with them.
Yeah, Okay, I've ordered something for you. Something for us. How about this for me?
PassionOnline.co.uk has something for everybody with a fast, discreet delivery service, competitive pricing, and a free gift with every order for a limited time. See our massive product mix online right now. Click PassionOnline.co.uk, the world's sexiest online shop.
This is the sound of my soul. And I love the thought of coming home to you. This is the sound of my soul.
Is your FM radio boring you? Can't get a signal on your DAB? Isn't it about time for a change? Play Radio UK prides itself on providing you with 15 dedicated services, offering the widest choice at the highest quality, including Play 1, Play 2 and Play Dance. PlayRadioUK.com. Why go anywhere else? Play 2 UK, The Tommy Boyd Show.
Apparently, according to Happy Tree, I've got some emails which I'll quickly get to. Stay with us, King of the World.
You done an open, has he?
Happy Tree says that it was not shoes that were thrown at George W. Bush. They were sandals.
Oh.
He says.
Very observant.
Very observant. Briggsy sent in an email which is in part for Catherine Catt a little bit later on. If there's a question you'd like to ask or a point you'd like to put to Catherine Catt, who is our art critic connoisseur and also an expert on the sex industry, since that is what she does for a living, then you can email studio@playradiouk.com. I've got this from Dino Dance. He just says Chelsea should have won.
I disagree.
And Louise has emailed, can you please ask your guest if she has any ideas about what can be done to stop child pornography on the internet? I think Louise does not mean you here, Nikki, but she means Catherine Catt. So I'll put a little flag next to that. Does anybody else use these flags for their emails?
No.
No one under 50.
He just raised his eyebrows at that.
I can say that on the internet. Mick Dooley says Punchestown is 4.4 on Betfair, and I agree it should run well on Saturday. May I offer a rival tipping service? Circus of Dreams in the 12:20 at Folkestone from the Oliver Sherwood stable was entered up and fancied over the weekend, so is my tip for tomorrow, Circus of Dreams.
This is going to cost me a fortune, all these bets.
Well, just watch for a little while and observe and
see
who's
who
right,
does
well,
yeah.
and see who's crap, that sort of thing.
Okay.
These tips.
Yeah, go on. Say again?
All tipsters are, unless you get the nod from the owner who's talked to the jockey in the morning,
yes,
or the trainer on the way to the course, then the tips are generally just someone's opinion, and we all know what opinions are, Tommy, don't we?
Yes. Now, what was his name? Have you ever heard of Prince... Oh, God.
Team?
No. Prince... something like Mokolulu. Prince Monolulu. Monolulu, that's it, Monolulu. He, back in the days when black people in this country, in the United Kingdom, were a rare sight, so people sort of stared, but only out of the same kind of curiosity that with which we would now stare at aliens if they landed. You would, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You know? If there was a green alien at the end of the road, you'd go and have a look, wouldn't you?
Definitely.
Well, it used to be like that with black people.
Bloody welcome.
It's hard to believe, isn't it?
Well, but it did.
Yeah.
And Prince Monolulu, he was a bus driver, but he used to go to the race course and used to dress himself up as an African chief, right? And he used to sell horse tips. Okay, and he used to stand on a box whilst they were thinking about the next race, and he used to have this catchphrase which used to go, "I got a horse! I got a horse!" And people would pay, and he would... No, that's it. No, his thing was this. You didn't have to pay. He would give you a piece of paper if you asked, with the horse's name on it, the winner of the horse of the next race. Okay?
Why? What did he get out of it?
Well, because if it won... people would come and give him some of the winnings.
Would they?
Yeah.
Would they, though?
Yeah, because he was a character and people thought he was funny. I got a horse! But the scam was, of course, before the race, he wrote down the names of all the horses.
Every horse, of
Every
course.
single horse. Okay.
That's clever then.
And he became a real famous fixture at so many race
Oh,
courses.
I've never heard of him.
So yeah, you're probably right, King of the World, to be.
It's a good name for a wrestler, though. Prince Monolulu.
Prince Monolulu. I had a tipping line once.
Yeah.
Did you? What, £1.50 a minute?
Yep, I did.
Did it make any money?
It did. The first month we made 600 quid. And then it declined to 400 and then 200 and then you just had a few.
What's the operational costs on a tipping line?
Zero.
Well, once you've paid the original capital cost.
You don't have to pay any. Well, when I did it, you didn't have to pay anything up front at all. You were given your telephone number, and that was it.
Yeah.
You would then get a cheque through from the people who ran the telephone service at the end of every month, which was 50% of whatever it was, whatever the turnover was, whatever the income was.
I was thinking of doing a sex line.
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of them about, but I thought it's an easy way to make money, isn't it? And I'm all for that. I mean, the easier way that you can make... I don't know the ethics of it, but I don't suppose it's that bad. If you've got a hooker on the show, a brass, then we're laughing, aren't we? We can perhaps discuss this, because I think, I could record, like, gay sex stuff for people to listen to and pay £1.50 a minute. Do you think that's a goer?
Yes.
I'll do it then.
No, you won't. I bet you don't.
I will.
I bet you don't.
It's not very King of the Worldish, though, is it?
No, but you've got to fund your quest, haven't you?
I bet you, and I'll give you 4.4, just like Punchestown, okay? You don't do it.
Right.
Tenner will get
I bet you by...
Tenner will get you 34 quid.
Bet you by next Monday's show...
Yeah.
I will be at least up and running.
No way.
I'm going... Alright, so you'll owe me a tenner, and I'll owe you 34 quid if you can prove that you've got a sex line up and running.
You can ring it live on air.
Yeah, but you could just give me the number.
Yeah, any number. How are we going to know it's yours?
It'll be my voice. Hello, I am, and I'll say my angle will be I will be a gay king.
Gay king, all right.
With a crown and nothing else.
Queen then of the world.
And a sceptre.
All right, bugger off. Nice talking to you.
Ciao.
I look forward to hearing that next Monday.
Full of it, isn't it?
Never going to happen.
Completely full of it. Stephen L. has emailed, no, I beg your pardon, Skyped in with what I believe might be the YouTube of George Bush having a shoe thrown at him. So I will just listen to it in the hope that it's got some good sound effects as well as it's interesting to look at. It's connecting, so if you bear with me. I don't
think the sound effects are going to be very interesting.
You never know.
I don't know.
Right. Here we are.
Him ducking.
One of the television correspondents at this in which the president is there on an unannounced visit, part of a ceremonial signing of the agreement, and you see it there. One right after the other. One of the journalists jumps up, throwing the shoes at the president. Let's listen in.
Oh, go look at this, listener. Go look at this. Go look.
It's funny, isn't it?
Okay.
I'm sorry, but it's funny.
All right, if you're listening and therefore you are at your PC, I beg you, YouTube, Bush dodgy shoes thrown by Iraqi journalist. Has that been on TV?
I caught the news. I was literally in the other room and the telly was on in the lounge and I just literally saw George Bush ducking. I didn't hear the story or anything. I just saw that.
If you ever watch cricket, you'll sometimes see a batsman having to dodge a bouncer, okay? And they don't know whether to go inside it or outside it, okay? But what happens here is Bush gets two bouncers in the space of about 8 seconds. And the first one, he kind of goes, I'll let that one go by me on the left. And it hits the back of the wall.
Yeah, I told you it was thrown with some force.
And they ain't sandals, because they're shoes. So he goes, I'll go inside that one. And then he looks up and he can see that the guy is getting the other shoe, and he's winding up with it. And so Bush is now on his toes. Well, he's not, he's on his arse. But he's going, which way am I going to go? Okay, let's take a look at it again. Oh, please, at home. Whatever, if you're podcasting, this is really frustrating. But it's there, it's YouTube, and it's Bush dodges shoes. Those words will get you there. I just have to see it. Forgive me, I just have to see it one more time, because it is.
One of the television correspondents at this news conference, in which the president is there on an unannounced visit, part of a ceremonial signing of the agreement, and you see it there. One right after the other. One of the journalists.
You see, now
They
I
were
like.
quite quick succession, actually, weren't they?
I like George Bush. He's taken a lot of shit.
Yeah.
And maybe he shouldn't have invaded another country, but on the other hand, maybe I think he should have done. After all, if anybody had done that to Saddam Hussein, they would have been taken outside, beaten to a pulp and probably shot or hanged or something. You know, there's no doubt about that. They wouldn't have had a chance to do that. And the irony of it is these protesters don't realise that what they're doing is they're making use of a fundamental freedom of speech and right to protest that just didn't exist in Iraq before.
No.
And they're actually taking out their anger not on Saddam, but on George W. But he looks pretty agile. he moves nicely out the way.
He does.
Do you think we'll see him on American Strictly Come
I
Dancing?
was just going to say the same to you. Dancing with the Stars.
Anybody
That's
who
his
can,
next thing,
he
isn't
moves
it?
sideways.
Yeah.
And European dancing, as you know, is a sideways.
Absolutely.
It's all about moving sideways. Just one last time.
Oh, absolutely worth watching.
One of the television correspondents at this news conference, in which the president is there on an unannounced visit.
Okay, I'm just going to pause it, because what you have is two guys. One of them is Bush, and the other one, I guess, is either an interpreter or perhaps an Iraqi politician, and they're both dressed in the de rigueur, dark suits, white collar shirt, dark tie, and they've got the podiums in front of them. I think the podiums have both got a big logo, possibly an Iraqi logo on the front of it. They're wooden podiums, and they come up just past the guys' waists. In front of them are all the journalists, so there's quite a lot of heads. Behind them, and only about 6 feet behind them, is a wall, and between them and the wall are some flags. I think there are 2 flags of Iraq and 1 flag of the good old Star-Spangled Banner.
Part of a ceremonial sign.
Now, we've just seen the first shoe. Now, how would you describe that, Nikki? We just see a little figure in the bottom right of the screen.
Yes, he goes towards the lectern, doesn't he? He's probably about 6-8 foot away.
He's close.
He's closer than I realised first time.
Yeah.
And he hurls this shoe at George Bush, who actually ducks.
Brilliantly.
Ducks just a sort of microphone level, so the shoe flies over, just skims the top of his head, and hits the back wall.
If Bush hadn't
ducked,
that would have been a headshot.
Absolutely.
That would have been a Dallas all over again.
Yeah.
Except with a size 8
loafer. I'm still thinking it's a loafer.
Instead of a cartridge. So that's
he ducked beautifully, very quickly.
He ducked.
He was agile.
Almost as though he knew it was coming. You don't think it was a stunt?
The president is there on an unannounced visit, part of a ceremonial.
I tell you what's funny. There's this look on Bush's face just before the guy gets up, and look, he could have had a gun. The guy could have had a gun. And George Bush has got that kind of that kind of eyebrows going up and slight smile that means, good evening. Do we have any questions from the floor?
Yeah.
And a guy gets up and throws a shoe at him. Just suspended this as the shoe is about 3 feet from Bush's face, travelling at, what would you say, 25 mile an hour?
Yeah. There's some pace in that. He's
30 mile an hour.
Good right arm, isn't he?
He's got a good right arm. Yeah. And Bush is already beginning to move just inside the shoe, and if we just go back to normal time,
signing of the
bang! And now Bush gets up, and I swear he's smiling.
He bobs straight back up again, doesn't he?
He's quick.
Yeah.
He's quick, but I swear there's a slight smile. You can't see it because when you pause the footage.
Unannounced visit, part of a ceremonial sign.
Okay, I've just got the bit where he's gone, and the shoe's gone past him and hit the American flag behind. I just want to see if he comes back and he's kind of grinning. I swear he is. Because now
I think he might be.
He's now looking up, and his head is no more than about 6 inches above the podium, okay? And he kind of looks sheepish, a bit like somebody who's been caught puppeteering. You know what I mean?
Yes.
He's kind of getting up as if to go, my hand's up the frog's arse.
But then...
Yeah, he's definitely grinning, but now the guy's got his other shoe.
And you see it there.
Actually, that was a bit closer to it. He hardly moved then, George Bush, did he? He didn't duck that time, did you notice?
What he's done on the second shoe, he's collected his authority.
Yeah.
And now I think he's prepared to take a shoe for his country. If you look at it, he's actually going, bring it on.
Go on. Bring on the loafer.
What have you got? Do you want a piece of me?
And it went past his ear, didn't it? It was actually not a bad shot.
Yeah, but Bush, what he does, he brings his hands up, he sees that the shoe is going past, and so he holds his ground.
Yeah.
Now, I would say that if somebody were going to come at me with two loafers, I would be proud to have both the physical coordination and athletic skills, balance, grace, that Bush shows in the first shoe. I would like to think that I have the courage.
The composure, the authority.
Look down both barrels of that loafer and see that it's going to miss me and just kind of go, who's the daddy?
Who's the daddy?
Who's the daddy?
Yeah.
Have a look at it at home. Please do it now.
It's worth it.
And tell me what you think. I think it's revealing. Is that an exaggeration?
No, it's one of the best things I've seen for a long time.
Let's get some more important information, particularly about one of my favourite internet companies called Moonfruit.
PlayRadioUK.com, part of the Something Corporation.
Ever imagined yourself behind the wheel of a Ferrari, Aston Martin or Lamborghini? We'll turn it into a reality with an Everyman driving experience. Take control of a Mini from £30, a Ferrari from £75, or try the Audi R8 Thrill experience from £99. We can also offer that extra special gift this Christmas with one of our driving experience vouchers. For more details or to book, call the company with 25 years in the business. Everyman Driving Experiences on 01 455 841 670 or go to www.everymanracing.co.uk. Your driving adventure starts here.
The world's favourite website creator is celebrating. Moonfruit.com has now helped over 2 million people like you make their website dreams a reality. Moonfruit's award-winning design tools let you create a professional website in simple, easy steps. And you don't need to be a web wizard to make it happen. Go to Moonfruit.com right now and take a look for yourself at some fantastic websites already enjoying massive success. Packages start from less than £3 a month. Create, register, host, and support your very own world-class website today with Moonfruit.com.
PlayRadioUK.com is offering you the chance to get your hands on rock, metal and punk t-shirts plus other band merchandise from just £11.95. Also includes free UK shipping. For more details, click on the Loud Clothing banner at PlayRadioUK.com. Merry Christmas from your festive Global Jukebox. Global Jukebox. Live from the south coast of England, this is Play 2 UK. Tommy Boyd. Call 01243 55 60 60. Email studio@playradiouk.com. Skype play.radio.uk. Now, live from the south coast of England, the Tommy Boyd Show, only on Play 2 UK.
9:05, good evening in the UK, good day around the world, and hello if you're podcasting. It's Tommy here. Catherine Catt will be along in about just under an hour's time to talk about art and sex, and Nikki Keg-Shevlin is with us through this evening, so aren't we lucky? Having fun?
Absolutely loving it.
Great, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know.
Really good fun.
How are you doing at home, or wherever you might be on your laptop or your PC? If you're listening on your phone, we had a couple who were listening last week, I remember, and I'll never forget this one, listening in bed on their phone, and I assumed this was with headphones, but apparently, and I'm doing my best to keep up with the technology, but hey, who can? All you have to do is click your phone over to loudspeaker, and it just acts like a radio, so, you know. We're just in the middle of enjoying a top story, which is George Bush and the shoe incident. There's been a rally in Baghdad today with people campaigning for the release of the journalist who, why should he be released? He tried to hurt some guy. You know? It's hardly articulate protest, is it? But what these people don't realise is how lucky they are that they can have a bloody protest.
Yeah, that is very true.
You know, it didn't happen when Saddam was around. People lost their lives.
God, I know.
And loved ones. And things. Entire villages. If they didn't like Saddam Hussein. There's this, I don't get this irony of being really angry with somebody who has allowed them the opportunity to display their anger. Anyway. Uncle Davey, I have no idea what this is going to sound like. Uncle Davey has sent us in a clip of the George W. Bush